Welcome to Goat Island. I'm your host, the Big Ka Huzzi, and this is your weekly entertainment and history. Starting off as per usual with series, cause what's up with shows anyways? So we're about to put the final face on our first series, Mount Rushmore, which is of course for bingeable sitcoms, and the last of the great shows is Who's That Girl? It's just New Girl. This felt like the final evolution in the Mount Rushy, starting with Friends, changing to How I Met Your Mother, pivoting to Big Bang Theory, and finally ending up in New Girl. In modern times, it definitely felt the most relatable, but at the same time, definitely took from each of these shows. And this places fourth overall. Now, the first big series just dropped in Ironheart, which will be followed in less than 24 hours by The Bear Season 4. And this Friday, Squid Games will return to Netflix for its final season. And look, we haven't finished watching the first episodes of Ironheart yet, but I can say that most likely we'll finish the episodes of Ironheart, then binge the fuck out of Squid Games before Saturday is over, and most likely get to the Bear Season 4 last as we wait for the remaining episodes of Ironheart next week. But still, probably finish Ironheart before finishing the new season of The Bear. What a time we're living in though, because we remember when one good series had you covered for a month or two and then you had to wait another year. But now, on a slow month, you've got 3 major series dropping in the same week. Progress. Next, we've got to cover the bigger budgets because it's movie time. Just like with series, we've got one more movie left for our first Mount Rushmore films, with the topic, of course, being sports movies. And listen, this should be obvious, but this week's entry is none other than Rocky. This changed the game for boxing films, and just so many pop culture references are taken from this. And this takes the first place spot overall. Now, all major movies in June are already out, with The Ballerina at the top of the month, followed by both Deep Cover and How to Train Your Dragon. And look, this month was shit, but next month though? And look, this month wasn't great for movies, but the silver lining is that we were actually wrong. We predicted The Ballerina as the movie of the month, but we still can't be bothered with it. Meanwhile, we just watched Deep Cover again. And for that reason, Deep Cover is the movie of the month for June. This week, though, they're putting out another movie we don't need. And what is it? Well, F1. And why don't we need it? Because what the fuck, guys? Can we stop acting like Formula 1 is more than overhyped because of COVID? No, man. If I want to watch a good movie about racing, then I'll watch Cars. Ka-chow. And no, not Fast and Furious, because that's not about racing. It's about family. Okay, so now with these shows and movies out of the way, we're getting to digital streaming platforms and studios. And look, it's official for the second month in a row. Netflix has been the DSP of the month. And this month it's largely because of WWE and Squid Games. But will we see the title change in July? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Marvel and DC have been at it for decades, if you think about it. And though it seems as though both studios have stopped going at each other to focus on their upcoming movies, Fantastic Four, Superman, there was a time that DC was ahead with movies, series, everything really. And that was more than 20 years ago. Marvel's been on an upward spiral ever since Toby first put on the Spidey suit, and DC's been falling off ever since Christian Bale hung up the cowl. Speaking of Marvel, major changes have been announced for the studio as they look to minimize Disney Plus content shows, but at the same time had clear confidence by announcing the first official X-Men movies in the MCU to be released in 2028. And look, 3 years in advance, that's just a different type of ego. And we love it, damn it. Now, For GOAT Studios and DSPs, of course, we are busy with our top 5, with this month's focus being on Sony Pictures. And this week's reason why Sony Pictures is GOAT status is, they gave us James Bond, The Terminator, plus 22 Jump Street. My name is Jeff. And Sony Pictures ranks 4th overall for our top 5 DSPs and studios. It's always good to remember the past. And with that, means it's time for some history. This week's crown for Petty Boy of the Week goes to a queen, because nobody weaponized passive aggression quite like Catherine de Medici. She wasn't just France's queen, she was the mother of France, literally. She ruled through 3 of her sons and controlled them like a medieval Kris Jenner, if Kris also dabbled in poison and plotted massacres. Let's unpack the chaos. Married into the French royal family, got zero respect and said, cool, I'll just outlive everyone and run the country through sheer intimidation. Hosted elaborate banquets to spy on and manipulate nobles, normal mom stuff. May or may not have kept a stash of poisoned gloves and scented murdered perfumes, like imagine spritzing someone with eau de death. Orchestrated the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, a full-on purge of Protestants after a fake friendly royal wedding. She said, we love a diverse guest list, then pulled out the knives. Constantly played rival nobles and her own children against each other like the Game of Thrones meets Who's the Favorite this week. Catherine was a queen, a momager, a political assassin, and the undisputed MVP of emotionally manipulative parenting. She didn't throw tantrums, she threw civil wars. This week's historical lie with the soundtrack is The Patriot, also known as American Revolution, but everyone's hot and historically inaccurate. Let's talk The Delusion. Mel Gibson plays Benjamin Martin, a tortured, morally gray family man who reluctantly fights for freedom. Reality though, he's a composite character based partly on a guy who, hunted indigenous people for sports, so not exactly the hero arc we got on the screen. The movie makes the British look like literal Saturday morning cartoon villains, burning churches, shooting kids, twirling metaphorical mustaches. Also, can we talk about how slavery is just not there? Like, there's one quick mention of paid workers, and then poof, racism solved by Mel Gibson's moral compass. This movie gave us vibes, vengeance, and vintage Americana, but skipped the ugly parts of history like they were terms and conditions. Mel Gibson said freedom, and the facts said we weren't invited. Have you heard about the Great Emu War of 1932, where Australians declared war on birds and lost? Let's set the scene. Post-World War I, Aussie farmers are struggling, then suddenly thousands of emus show up. Not metaphorically, literally big, dumb, angry birds trampling crops like they're doing line drills at boot camp. The farmers beg the government for help. Australia's like, say less, and sends in soldiers with machine guns. First attempt, emus scatter like chaos goblins, soldiers shoot, miss, trip over fences, and get outmaneuvered by birds with the IQ of a zucchini. Second attempt, same thing. Emus form tactical split groups and literally flank the army. These birds watched Saving Private Ryan in a past life. After wasting 10,000 plus rounds of ammo, they only managed to kill about 1,000 emus. Emus won, humans publicly humiliated. This was an actual government-sanctioned war, and the birds turned it into a punchline. Australia pulled out with guns, and emus pulled up with vibes and legs. Now, honestly, would this embarrassing Aussie history make a good show or movie? As a series, it would be less than mid, and for us, it gets a 3 out of 10 as a series, but as a movie, it could just about pass for average, and we're giving it a 6 out of 10. Because, Aussie's got some funny movies out there, and that shit could be alright if you think about it. That's a wrap for this week's Entertainment and History Drop, and you can like and subscribe, and if you have any thoughts, drop a comment. And for Goat Island, this is the Big Ka Huzzi. We'll check you again.